Next question is from LAPD. Does dairy need to be avoided if it isn't grass-fed?
Oh, great question.
Not necessarily.
So first off, so long as you can tolerate it, because dairy's one of the top foods that causes gastro issues for people. So
what is the percentage of our population now? Do you know? Like how many people are?
It's got to be, I want to say 10%. It depends on who you're talking to, by the way. Like Mediterranean, you're going to have a higher percentage than Northern European.
Everybody in the Midwest somehow.
I mean, the reason why I'm asking that though is to make the point that 90% of you would probably be fine.
I think if you have a dairy intolerance.
It says 68% of the world's population has lactose malabsorption.
Yes, but that's because how big of a population is China, for example. And I know that Asian populations have a higher percentage of like if you're Northern European, you're probably fine.
Probably
And you talked about the Midwest. The Midwest was like heavily populated by Northern Europeans.
Exactly.
Like Africans tend to have high lactose issues, except for a certain region of Africa where
like one tribe, I remember it's like
the Maasai tribe.
Heavily,
They drink the hell out of it.
Yeah, Northern Europeans have a lower rate at 18 to 26%.
Yeah, so that's lactose, but then there's also dairy intolerance. But anyway, my point with this is if you can tolerate dairy, it doesn't cause intolerances,
you're fine.
Dairy is one of the healthiest foods on the planet.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the healthiest foods on the planet. It's very nutrient dense. It's got proteins and fats that are very beneficial. What's the difference between grass-fed dairy and traditional dairy? The fats. By the way, this is where you'll see a difference in beef that's grass-fed versus beef that's not grass-fed. You don't find it in the protein. The proteins are the same. It's in the fats. And the fats in grass-fed dairy tend to be higher in CLA, which is a type of fatty acid that's got some health benefits. And there's certain nutrients that are a little bit higher. If you have a lot of milk, you drink a lot of milk and you eat a lot of cheese, I mean, this is like a big staple in your diet, then you probably, I would say it makes sense over, years and years and years, it makes sense to go for grass-fed. If you have occasional dairy, it's not really like this huge, big staple in your diet, then it's not going to make that big of a difference. And I think that's true for like grass-fed beef.
I mean, I would make the case that if you can afford to go that route and you, to your point, eat a lot of dairy, that it would behoove you to move in that direction. It's definitely not going to hurt you by going grass-fed. And if anything, there's so the real difference in the fatty acid profile is there's a lot more in the grass-fed, higher concentrate of omega-3s versus 6 and 9s.
Some omega-3s, there's more, and then higher CLA.
Okay.
CLA is the other one.
Right. And so you have something that is, if you go non-grass-fed, it's potentially higher inflammatory markers, correct?
Yes.
And if it's 3, then that's...
It's not a huge difference. So here's the thing. It's not this massive difference, but it's enough of a difference to where if you have a lot... I know people, by the way, who will drink like half a gallon of milk a day.
Yeah, it's depending on your consumption.
Yeah, right? Now it makes a difference.
Yeah, how much of that is included in your everyday diet, and also too the overall calories. So it just reminds me of like going organic versus having just regular vegetables. It's in terms of like if you check the boxes, you're going to check the calorie box first.
Yeah,
right? And then after that, we're going to like try and refine and get more quality.
It's like grass-fed beef. I eat on average 1 pound to 2 pounds of beef most days. For me, it makes a lot of sense to go grass-fed. Now, if you have beef once a week, twice a week, it's not gonna make that huge of a difference, that big of a difference. But if you eat a lot of it, it makes a big difference. Same thing with eggs. I eat 8 to 10 eggs every single day. Pasture raised makes a difference. But if you eat like, an egg here and there, it's not gonna make that big of a difference. Same thing with dairy, grass-fed versus non-grass-fed. If you have a ton of dairy, then it makes sense. But again, it doesn't affect the proteins, it affects the fats. Why am I saying this? Because you'll see whey protein that's grass-fed versus traditional whey protein. Now, unless you're looking at the like carbon footprint and all that stuff, and it's better for the cows, that's different. But in terms of a nutrient standpoint, whey, it doesn't make a difference.